Many believers assume the story of the Nephilim ended with the flood, but the influence of that ancient corruption did not disappear completely. After the flood, giants appear again in the biblical record, raising an important question: how did this happen, and why does it matter? Genesis tells us that God judged the world through the flood to cleanse the earth of corruption. Noah and his family were preserved because Noah was righteous and blameless in his generations. Humanity was given a fresh beginning. Yet not long after, the Bible records the presence of giants once again. Genesis 6-4 states there were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward. It tells us that the Nephilim-like presence did not belong only to the pre-flood world. As Israel journeyed toward the Promised Land, the spies returned with a terrifying report. They said, "We saw the giants there, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight." These giants were descendants of Anakim, known as the Anakim. Scripture also names other giant clans the Rephaim, the Anakim, and the Zamzamim. So how did giants reappear after the flood? Scripture does not give every detail, but it strongly suggests that fallen spiritual influence continued through different means. Satan's goal has always been to corrupt God's plan. The Promised Land was not randomly occupied by giant clans. These nations stood directly in the path of God's covenant promise to Abraham. God commanded Israel to remove them to protect his redemptive plan. The clearest examples of this conflict is found in 1 Samuel 17-4, the story of David and Goliath. Goliath was a Philistine giant standing over 9 feet tall, armed beyond any ordinary soldier. Goliath did not merely mock Israel, he defied the living God. David understood this battle correctly. He declared, "The battle is the Lord's." David's victory was about covenant authority. God once again demonstrated that no giant, natural or supernatural, can stop his purposes. Over time, Joshua 11:21-22 records that these giant clans were defeated and disappeared. By the time Israel was established, the Nephilim influence had been removed from the land. Yet the Bible teaches that spiritual rebellion follows patterns. What happened before the flood, and what resurfaced after it, points forward to the end times. Jesus said, Matthew 24:37, that the last days would resemble the days of Noah. This does not only refer to moral decay, but also to spiritual deception and rebellion against God's order. The Nephilim narrative reminds us that Satan repeatedly attempts to corrupt humanity, but he always fails. God preserves his promise. God protects his people, and God brings his plan to completion. The ultimate fulfillment of that plan is Jesus Christ, who defeated not just giants, but sin, death, and every power of darkness. The story of the Nephilim after the flood teaches us that while evil may resurface, it never prevails. God's authority remains supreme across every generation.